Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hi, and welcome to Self-Improvement Atlas, the Personal Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm Marie Stella, your host from Melbourne, Australia. Let's start the show. Welcome back to Self-Improvement Atlas, the Personal Science Insights podcast. Now, it is well known that getting sufficient sleep is crucial for our health and well-being, but did you know that it can also dramatically improve your cognitive function and overall performance? Well, today we're joined by naturopathic nutritionist and health coach Carolina Ramuski to learn more about how this works and how to optimize it for our cognitive function. Now, on a mission to help people sleep better and live healthier, happier lives, she has dedicated her career to helping people optimize their sleep using a unique blend of ancestral wisdom, modern technology, and biohacking techniques. Hi, Carolina. It's lovely having you on the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Very exciting.
Yeah, me too. So to start, could you tell us a bit about what you do as a naturopathic nutritionist and health coach?
Sure. So I started studying nutrition and naturopathic side, which is the holistic side of nutrition. So we try to find root causes for anything instead of just, as opposed to the Western medicine where you just sort of mask symptoms and you treat symptoms. We try to find root causes and use nutrition and lifestyle things just to improve health in general. So I started doing that. And then 2020, I decided to switch to sleep and just focus on sleep health because first is something that I'm passionate about. I've always been very interested in the brain, neuroscience, and how everything works. And the more I learned about sleep, I realized that sleep is actually the foundation of health. So it's not just a mere pillar where we always have the pillars of health. And what I learned is that sleep is actually the foundation where all these other pillars are based on, even like nutrition, exercise, mental health, all of that is built on that. And sleep has the power of breaking or making every single system in the body. So I decided to just start helping people there because once you have your sleep right, then everything else sort of fall into place as well. So yeah, I've been focused on helping people, individuals, and also corporate companies as well, helping their employees and their leaders just to improve sleep. So you can, like you said, cognitive functioning is very important, and sleep is the main thing that will improve your cognitive function. So it's where I like to start.
Yeah, I'm really excited to learn more about that. And that's an incredible preface for our topic for today. But before we get further into detail, I'd like to get to know you better. This is Have You Met Carolina? And my first question for you is, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I like to do many things, but I like to play music. I play guitar and I write songs. Yeah, actually, I have my first degree was in creative writing. So I have a very creative side to me as well, apart from the science side. I write songs, I write poetry, these kind of things. And I also love dancing. And I'm from Brazil originally. I live in the UK, but I'm from Brazil. And there's forró, which is like a partner dancing similar to salsa. Which I really enjoy. And also skateboarding, like longboard. I really love it.
Yeah, that's a really good mix of interests. So have you ever recorded any of your songs that you've written?
I've just recorded for myself. I never released anything, but yeah.
That's really cool. And how
Yeah.
many songs have you written at this point?
I don't know, about over 50 songs, I think. I used to, when I was at my first uni, creative, I used to write a lot more. But then, I switched into the science part, and then I haven't done as much.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like, it's something that I really
Yeah.
enjoy. And every time I write with my partner, so when both of us are together, we just play music and write songs, and it's fun. It's a fun thing to do together.
That is adorable. I love love. If you didn't know it, I also host the Reloscope, the Relationship Science Insights
Oh,
podcast, which
how
is another
cute.
show that we have. So I love that so much. What are some other things that you and your partner do together?
I mean, we've been together for a long time, 17 years. And we do many things together, actually. We have a very similar taste. And another passion of ours is old movies. So we love just to watch movies together. And he's very creative. So he finds all these gems, like old French movies and Italian movies. Is really, really nice. We cook together. We're very good to cooking, and lots of hiking, like outdoors stuff as well. We do lots of stuff together, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of food do you guys usually cook? What kind of, well, I was going to use the word genre, but that's not
yeah.
quite, well, cuisine. Cuisine is the right word for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a mixture of things. Like, he's very good at cooking Italian food because his family is from Italy. He's also from Brazil, but his mom is Italian. So he's amazing at cooking Italian stuff, like pastas, just the general Italian dishes is nice. We love a roast. I think is one of our favorite foods. Like, just roast. It's just so easy. You just put everything in the oven and just leave it there. I mean, it tastes amazing. But also Brazilian food as well. We eat quite a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like a really nice mix.
Yeah, it's nice. We mix a lot.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. And overall in your life, whether professional or personal, is there anyone that you look up to in particular?
I think there's a lot of people. I guess, like, science related, there's a few people that I really enjoy, like Matthew Walker, which is the guy from Sleep. He's the main sleep scientist, which is I really like his stuff. There's also Dr. Rhonda Patrick. I think I really like her work, what she does with epigenetics and just learning about, like, environment and how it affects our genes and all of that. She also has, there's something that I'm really into at the moment, which is contrast therapy. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's basically just going from hot to cold. So like a sauna and a cold plunge, or like an ice bath and things like that. And she talks a lot about that as well and how helpful this is for the body. And then there is this other lady, Susanna Soberg. I think she's from Finland or somewhere in the Scandinavian, somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. But her work in contrast therapy is really fascinating as well. So I really enjoy her. I really like Andrew Huberman as well. I kind of enjoy his podcast and all of his stuff. I think the science part, these people, Tony Robbins. I mean, he's amazing with the coaching and everything. I've learned a lot from him. So he's someone that I look up to for sure.
Yeah. And what traits of your role models do you find admirable?
I guess integrity, being able to say when they're wrong and, like, change. I think in science, you have to be open-minded because this is the main purpose of science. You're always questioning everything. And I like when they do that, like when you question things and like when you've done like this research or you found this and then suddenly now it's not that anymore. And then you're humble enough just to go back and say, oh, I was wrong about that. And this is what I find now and things like that. I think it's important.
Yeah. That's definitely a trait that I find admirable as well. It's always so much easier to be like, no, I'm not wrong. I don't want to look at my mistake,
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I'm trying to develop and grow on as well. What would
Yeah.
you say is your experience with that?
I think, I mean, I've always been very open-minded about that. And I think it's important because as you grow and as you learn, things change. And also, I think like once we change throughout our lives, and if we keep fixed on the same beliefs and the same patterns, everything, I don't know, like for me, it doesn't make any sense. I think we are always evolving. And I think it's important that ideas and evolve with us, and a few things that I believed in the past that I don't believe anymore, or that I didn't believe and then now I believe, I think it's important to be
Yeah.
flexible, especially flexible with ourselves, and
Yeah.
just basically go with the flow, I think, and be able to think and to analyze for yourself, instead of just I think I like the idea of questioning everything and not just take anybody's word just for it and like do your own. I'm very big on a personal responsibility. So I think even if the information is out there, I think it's our responsibility to look for it and then to make sure it's the right thing for us. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like the list of your role models there have really set a good foundation for you to, go through life and experience life with all these beliefs as well. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Had a lovely time getting to know you a bit better. So now we'll move on to the interview section. And the first thing that we want to get to know is what exactly is cognitive function?
Yeah. So basically, cognitive function refers to our mental process or mental processes, like is involved in the acquisition of knowledge, the manipulation of information and reasoning, and you being able to use your mental abilities and have a range, like the range of your mental abilities, which are your attention, your memory, your understanding, your problem solving, decision making, your language use. So this is what the cognitive function is your ability to think, your ability to process things and understand and reason, use your reason and logic to make sense of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. So, how would you describe the relationship between sleep and cognitive function?
So I think it's crucial. I mean, sleep is the main thing to improve your cognitive function. If you're not sleeping, so basically when we sleep, when we consolidate our memories, we get them all into places, to the right places. Think about especially dreaming sleep, REM sleep. It works more or less like a filing cabinet where our deep sleep, which is the first part of the night, we gather all the memories that we have, so all the memories that we gathered during the day, for example, with all through our senses. So everything that we saw, everything that we heard, we smelled, we touched. So this, all this information, when we sleep, the deep sleep part gets everything together, and then the REM sleep part, it kind of distributes it to the right, to old memories and everything that so basically a filing cabinet, just kind of putting in the right drawers, if that makes sense, the right folders, which gets everything together. So if you're not having enough sleep, then this doesn't happen as much, and then you can have problems with your memory. Also, problem solving skills. I don't know if you ever noticed, when you're sleep deprived, you can't think as clearly and you can't solve problems as easily. And just your overall brain efficiency, it really, a lack of sleep really impairs all these abilities that you have. It reduces your attention span. It's low your reaction time if you're sleep deprived, and also it hampers your decision making. So it's crucial. It's
Yeah.
mad to think.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I never thought of it as a filing cabinet. So, would you say that dreaming is really important in sleeping then?
Yeah, because basically what happens is you have, so in sleep you have you have stages, so you sleep cycles, and we go through these sleep cycles 3 to 4, 4 to 5, no, 4 to 5 times a night, depending on the person. And each of these, so you go from light sleep to deep sleep, REM sleep, and then light sleep to the REM sleep, and then the cycle keeps repeating. All of the cycles are really important. All of the phases are really important, but they do different things. So the deep sleep cycle part of it, you restore your physical body. So that's when you rest your physical body. The REM sleep is where we mainly dream, is the restoration of your mental and emotional side. So if you're not having enough of both of these two, then that's when the problems happen. And then that's when you feel super tired or you're irritated, moody. All of that thing is because you're not having enough REM, because that's your emotional side. So it's very important. And deep sleep happens in the first part of the night. So between 10 p.m., 2 a.m., more or less, is when it happens more. And REM sleep on the morning side, more towards the early. That's why sometimes we wake up, we can remember our dreams, because probably you woke up in that cycle at that time. So, not at that cycle, sorry, at that period of the cycle. And so, yeah, so it's crucial to make sure that you're having enough hours. The hours itself is not as important, is the quality of those hours that you're spending. So
I see.
And so then if you go to sleep too late, then you miss. What happens is each cycle, these phases, they increase in length. So for example, in the first part, you have more deep sleep. You hardly ever have any deep sleep in the morning part, like in the later part of the night after 3 a.m. Obviously, some people will do, but it's uncommon. And then you have little REM sleep in the beginning of the night. So say first cycle, you have 5 seconds of REM sleep, whereas towards the morning, you can have up to half an hour of REM sleep. So sort of increases with the night's REM sleep, and then this deep sleep decreases. So it starts high, the first part, and then decreases throughout the night. So when you either wake up too early or you wake up or go to bed too late, you might be missing some of this, which is not ideal, if that makes sense.
Right. That's really interesting. Well, there are some situations in where someone might be experiencing frequent dreams that are troubling, and then they go throughout the day thinking about this dream. What, like, would that still be healthy then?
Yeah, I think so. I think your dreams has also to do with like your experience during the day that you had. So if you think about your dreams, they're usually a mixture of something that happened on your day that stayed with you, with random stuff from the past or random people or weird stuff, right? Because it's kind of constantly is kind of mixing up everything that is connected somehow. So that's one of the theories of dreaming, is the filing cabinet part that you have. That's why you have these weird dreams. But the thing is, it's basically all like your worries and things that stayed with you. Sometimes you have really happy dreams, sometimes you don't, and it really depends how your state of mind is, and I think what's going on in your life at the time. So even if you have a dream that is bad, or it's still all parts of, it's still healthy because you're dreaming, and everybody dreams. Lots of people, they don't remember their dreams, but everybody dreams. So most nights, even if you don't remember it.
Mm-hmm. And is getting enough sleep, the 8 hours of sleep, and making sure that that's quality sleep, all that's needed in order to support our cognitive function?
Not exactly 8. Everybody's different. So for adults, we should have between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. So we have a thing called our chronotype, which is our genetic predisposition of being a morning person or an evening person. This is what dictates your circadian rhythm, and we are all different. So it's a genetic thing we can't really change. However, our environment, our lifestyles, they really make some people change that, but it's not the ideal. So there's a lot of people who think, oh, I'm a night owl, or, say I like to stay up late, la da da. Most people have that wrong. Is because of the environment, and the other way around. Some people are night people and then they have to wake up really early and they struggle. And this changed throughout our lives as well. So like, for example, when we are kids, babies, all babies are morning person. They all wake up really early and go to bed early. And then teenage years, that changes and you go into being a night owl. So for teenagers, they really struggle with early school times. And they can't go to sleep very late, very early as well. It's not because they're being lazy, as we like to think of them. It's biologically they can't. But when I say late, it's not like super late like people think. People think, oh, I'm a night owl, I'm going to go to sleep at 3 a.m. No. Variation is like normal people would go like 10, 11. A night owl would go 12, 1. It's not like a huge change. No, you shouldn't be up until 4 a.m., if that makes sense. But then for them, they struggle to wake up like 6, 7 a.m. They probably will want to wake up at 8, 9. And that's how they function better, if that makes sense.
Right. So in order to support our cognitive function, we should be getting between 7 and 9 hours of quality sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So as a nutritionist, what are your thoughts on using sleep supplements to help, or natural remedies in order to help with improved sleep and cognitive performance?
Yeah, I think I'm not a huge fan of supplements. I think they have their value. And I think some things like magnesium is a good thing, because magnesium and zinc are the most two used minerals in the body. So even if we are having them enough in the food, we use them so much that it's always worth supplementing. I think the best one is magnesium biglycinate for sleep. But there's also glycine, which is an amino acid, which is really good and helps with sleep as well. It's really funny because if you take glycine, your dreams become a lot more vivid. I'm not really sure why, but they do. And you dream quite a lot. You remember you dream a lot if you take glycine. But like you should be taking like max 5 mg with glycine. I think it should be enough, 5 grams, sorry. And yeah, zinc is really important. Zinc you should be taking at night, about 15, 20 mg. Zinc is quite, like I said, magnesium and zinc I think is really good. However, I think most of sleep is what you do during the day. And I think it's very important to find what your chronotype is. So there's a quiz that you can make. I can give a link for your listeners if you want to. I have a little quiz that you can find out. And the best thing is to align your life into your chronotype if you can. I know that's for a lot of people it's not easy because of work, school, whatever. But the more you can align your life into your chronotype, the easier it will be for you to improve your sleep and for your life to flow better as well. So, first thing would be spend more time outside, outdoors. The first thing we should do as soon as we wake up, instead of being scrolling on a screen, we should be having sunlight or daylight. In the UK here, we don't have a lot of sunlight. You guys in Australia, you have plenty of it, so you have no excuse.
Well, it does depend. It does depend. We are coming towards winter.
That's
so
true.
In some parts of Australia, it gets pretty gloomy, especially where we are at. But yeah, I do know. I am aware of that. That running joke that the UK doesn't get that much sun.
No, it is really bad. I mean, this week has been really sunny, which is nice because now we are approaching summer as well. It'll be late spring. But even on cloudy days, that bright light, the sun is always there, so it doesn't go away. Even if it's cloudy, that light is better than any artificial light. So that's the first thing you should do, because what happens is we have every organ in our body, we have a clock. And we have a master clock, which is in the brain, pineal gland, and then you got the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That's where our main clock is, and that main clock is activated by light. So what the first thing you have to do to reset your circadian rhythm every morning is be outside in the light. 15 minutes, it doesn't have to be much longer than that, but get the light in your eyes. Even if it's cloudy, even if it's a dark day, the outside light is better than any light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing. And then all the other organs, the clock on the organs, they're activated by food. So the time that you eat. And because we have all these clocks, and if you are synchronized with your circadian rhythm, then you have a specific time to do everything in your life. So it's very interesting, like the best time to exercise, the best time to eat, the best time to do certain type of exercises. And exercise also is another way of activating these clocks in your life. So ideally, you go outside in the morning and you do some sort of exercise, even if it's like just a stretch. It doesn't have to be vigorous exercise or anything like that, but just getting moving. And then this sort of starting, have a nice breakfast. Ideally, I always tell people to have a high protein, high fat breakfast instead of a high carb one, because carbohydrates makes you sluggish, and protein and fat makes you active and more alert. So
yeah,
ideally, you do those three things in the morning to reset your circadian rhythm.
That is great advice, because I've always wondered why sometimes I'm sort of sluggish in the morning, and I hate mornings sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think it might be because I eat all these ham and cheese croissants. There's so many of them at all the coffee shops here, and they are so delectable that
they are delicious, but they do make you sluggish for sure.
Yeah. You also kind of forget that a croissant's carbs, because they're not your typical bread. You know, they have like layers, and they're kind of light as well.
And they're delicious.
And they're delicious, so delicious, and very buttery.
Yeah.
So we'll put the link in the show notes to the quiz. And when it comes to selecting supplements, if someone does want to go the route of supplements anyway, or if they are really, really having trouble sleeping, how should they go about assessing the ingredients?
Yeah, so basically, you need to pay attention to the ingredients for sure, because there's a lot of supplements, especially the cheaper ones, that they have a lot of fillers and a lot of different things like you don't want to have in there. So the purest that you can find, the best, with the least amount of ingredients that you know what they are when you pronounce, and you can pronounce them. This is also important to think about. Like, okay, like there's all these numbers, all these things. Like, what are these things? You know, like if you don't know, like, don't take them. I just want to touch a little bit on melatonin, because I think there's a lot of people supplementing with melatonin, and I am a little bit against it. I think melatonin is a hormone to begin with, is not a supplement. So people should be aware of that. And hormones, if you take too much, if your body stops producing it. So you don't want that. You want your melatonin to be produced naturally. And the way to produce your melatonin naturally is by viewing light in the morning, because melatonin is activated by darkness. So in the morning, you view the light. In the evening, you restrict light. So ideally, few hours before bed, you have all the lights very dimmed. Ideally, we would have like candle lights everywhere. But if we can't have that, then try to limit the amount of light in your house. You can put your phone on red. There's a settings on your phone that you can the color filter. I use really red on my phone. That stops the blue light, emitting the blue light. It's easy on your eyes and just makes it better. So it's just, the idea is that light in the morning, no light in the evening. That's the main way of resetting your melatonin, producing it naturally. And if you have, for example, obviously, when we are older, we stop producing melatonin as much, then I would obviously supplement. Women after menopause, things like that. But otherwise, unless you are fighting jet lag or something that is very acute, that just happens sometimes, I would not recommend supplementing with melatonin every day for sure. And also the dosage, you have to pay attention. There's a lot of melatonin out there. They have really high dosage, and we don't need to be taking all that. Maximum 3 mg. So you shouldn't be having any more than that. I've encountered many people who are taking 10 mg, 20 mg. It's mad because it's a hormone, like I said, and impacts the other cascades of other hormones. So it can impact a lot of things. So it's better just to try not to use it if you can.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do forget that melatonin is a hormone as well. I've heard a few of my friends as well say, yeah, if I can't sleep, I'll just take another gummy,
Yeah.
and I never thought that there was anything wrong with that as someone who doesn't really know much about nutrition and naturopathy. So that's really good that you've outlined that for us. That's really, really helpful. Now, when it comes to bedtime routines, are there any specific rituals or practices that you recommend practicing for optimizing sleep?
Yeah. I think there's a lot. I think it's we live such busy lives. And I think it's important to let your body unwind before bed. Give the opportunity of your body to be in a more rested place before you go to sleep. Because I know there's a lot of people who, they have really busy days and they have so much stuff on their minds and they go on the phone and then there's more work and more things and social media, la da da. Your brain's so wired before you fall asleep. And then that's why so many people have trouble falling asleep and sometimes staying asleep. It has to do, like staying asleep has a lot to do with your stress and cortisol. So it's very important to kind of unwind. So I think having a routine is nice. I know there's not many people can have it because, you have busy lives, kids and whatever. But I think like having a routine like kids have in the UK, I don't know, Australia if it's the same, but in the UK, all the children, they have a routine. So they have dinner around 5:30, then they have a bath, story time, bed, And
Oh, that's so cute.
yeah, they all do it. It's very, very common here. Most kids have this routine. And I think we should do the same with us. It's very helpful. Do something. I like just to do the routine where you divide the routine into 3 parts. Like say, take an hour before bed, half an hour, how much ever time you have. Then the first time I call preparation, which you're finishing up all the chores that you have to do, putting dishes away, feeding your pets, things like that. Getting your bags ready for the morning. Anything that brings you anxiety in the morning that you don't have to be rushing in the morning, you get them ready. Then you do the hygiene part, which you take a hot shower, hot bath, brush teeth, floss, skincare, whatever you do. A hot shower or bath is really helpful to fall asleep because it a hot, warm or hot shower bath decreases your core body temperature. And that's what you want. You want your core body temperature to be low. So it's easier to fall asleep. And then the last part is called relaxation. So you do anything that relaxes you. Read a book, listen to music, meditation, a light stretch, knitting, coloring, drawing, whatever you like, like whatever makes you relax. And I like that to take that as like a me time because, it's just time that you can spend with you. One practice that I love and then I recommend to everyone before bed, journaling. Journaling, write down everything you have in your mind because this thought is what keeps people ruminating in the night. So if you have everything down on paper, I like to, do gratitude, 3 things that I'm grateful for the day, really changes your perspective in life when you do that. And also just put everything, like if you have problems and worries and things in there, in your head, writing them down really helps clear your head. Also, it helps you to understand what they are. And you can also write down when you're going to get them solved, by when, who is going to do it, delegate, whatever. So then you have it in paper. It's a lot better. So I think journaling is one of the main things that is very helpful to do before bed.
Yeah, for sure. And are there any, well, you did mention that taking the quiz and finding out I can't remember what the term was it chronotypes or?
Chronotype.
Chronotype.
Yeah.
What your chronotype is really important.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for making those lifestyle adjustments as well?
Yeah, so basically just like knowing your timings, it's helpful. For example, I'm a hummingbird. Hummingbirds are the middle people. So we have the morning larks, the people that wake up really early. You have the night owls, who are the night people. And then you have 50% of the population. Most of the population are hummingbirds, we are kind of together with the sun sort of routine. And that's why we have the 9 to 5 jobs, the school times, is because 50% of the population are there in the middle. And I think it's just kind of adapting your routine to that. Like I said, going outside in the morning, especially spend as much time outside as you can. Exercising, it's super important for health and helps with sleep as well. If you're sedentary, then your body's not spending the amount of energy that you need, and then you're not going to sleep at night. So this is very important. However, don't exercise vigorously at least 3 hours before bed, because then you have all the endorphins, all the adrenaline, everything, and it might be hard to fall asleep. So exercise early in the day if you can. Just seeing what you can fill up in your day, see how your life is programmed, and then just see how you can incorporate all the things. It's basically learning, because then if you see, say, my normal sleep time should be 11 o'clock, 10 p.m. more or less. I usually go to bed a bit earlier because I like to give my body enough time to have quality sleep. And I'm personally, I'm on 8.5 hours of sleep is my ideal. The way to find that out is whenever you go on holiday next, sleep without any alarm and just let your body sleep as much as you can, so you can wake up naturally. For the first few days, you might be a little bit sleep deprived, so you might sleep more, might sleep less. But then after a few days, you can actually know what is the best timing for you. And the best way to find out if you're sleeping well is how you feel in the morning. Do I need a big cup of coffee to keep me going? Am I refreshed? Do I feel rested? Do I feel energetic? How is your feeling? There's no other way of finding out. Is your feeling, how you feel in the morning. You need to ask yourself these questions.
Yeah, I feel like that will take me a very specific situation, because every time I go on holiday, as the main planner for most of my holidays, I get so anxious about what's going to happen the next day, because there's so many things that can go awry. And so even without the alarm, I end up sleeping like maybe 5-6 hours, and I end up so sleep deprived, and it's definitely not the ideal amount of sleep that I want, but I'm so anxious and so excited that I just keep hopping around until like 2 hours into staying in and having breakfast. I'm like, okay, I can nap now. I just sleep. So, but that's an indicator that that's probably not my ideal amount of time to sleep, right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
It's important to focus. Like, see if you. I know it's hard because you're so excited and you want to see so many things, but maybe try to have incorporate the sleep part on it. You just try to sleep more.
I'll try that on my next holiday. No promises, but I really genuinely will try. I just get so anxious during holidays sometimes.
That's so funny.
But what are some of the biggest misconceptions about sleep and cognitive function that you've heard?
There's so many. I think alcohol. One of them is there's a lot of people think that alcohol helps with sleep, and it doesn't. As they use alcohol as a nightcap, and let me just have a little drink. It helps me sleep faster, but it actually is a sedative. So sedation is not sleep, and alcohol actually fragments your sleep. So it makes especially your deep sleep, really, you wake up too many more times in the night. Normally, we all wake up every time we change cycles of sleep. We wake up, but most of it we don't remember. But alcohol makes you wake up very frequently. And then I don't know about if you have experienced that. At least if I drink too much, no matter how many hours I sleep, I'm never rested. And that's why, because alcohol just fragments your sleep. Another one is pulling an all-nighter before an exam or work thing, whatever important things that you have. This is actually the opposite of what you want. Like if you're studying for an exam, what you want to do, you want to sleep, because that's when you consolidate your memory. That's when all that you learn actually gets fixed in your brain. If you don't, then the opposite happens. Then all that study that you've done kind of goes through the window. Like it doesn't stay with you. So it's very important to understand, like if you have a big day, like say at work, you have a big presentation, you have something that you have to work a lot, and then have a sleep. It's studying as well, especially kids, teenagers. You have to sleep before. Don't pull an all-nighter. It's the opposite effects that you want. So it's very important.
So would you say that before some big important thing, say for example at work, it's actually healthy to dream about work?
Yeah, of course.
That's good news.
Yeah, especially because in your dreams you can. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you get the answer of the things that you needed during your sleep?
Yes, I do get that experience. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been telling people.
Yeah. 100%. It really helps, because you have that and you've been thinking about that so much during the day, and then during the night answers come because your body's processing all of that thing, and you're being able to understand and kind of reason and rationalize it. So it's very important. It's very helpful. It's very healthy, and because it consolidates everything. It helps you come up with new ideas and come up with answers to things. So it doesn't happen every time, but it really is helpful when it happens. And I think ideally, like for example, if you're an athlete and you're practicing a new skill, for example, very useful after all this practice to have a nap, to have a sleep, because then this is when it consolidates, it gets into you. And it's fixed there. And then for you to perform that skill again, much easier after you've had sleep.
That's fascinating to me. And now I can tell people that someone, an expert, has verified that this is okay and very healthy. It's all right to experience this.
Yeah.
Now, before we end off the interview section, I want to ask what advice you might have for listeners who'd like to prioritize sleep for that optimal cognitive function.
Yeah. Well, you said the right word, prioritize. You need to, anything that you want to improve, you have to make it a priority. I know that life happens, and ideally, there will be some days that you stay out late, that life happens, and I don't think we should not live life. But at the same time, we shouldn't give up sleep for everything. I think sleep is very easy to the first thing that we give up, like, oh yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Or, and this phrase is literal, because the least sleep you have, shorter your lifespan will be. So if you don't sleep enough, then your life is not just your life will end sooner, but also you encounter problems with cognitive problems, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson, all cognitive problems that we can have, attention deficit, all of those kind of things. So I think it's making sleep a priority. Try to make it your priority. Always give yourself the chance to do it. Ideally, you be regular as well. Have regularity. Every day go to bed and wake up at the same time, even in the weekends. Because when you do that, a few things happen. First, our body and our brain loves regularity. Because when you go every day to bed at the same time and you wake up at the same time, obviously it's a lot easier to control your wake up time, because usually you have school, you have work, and there's a certain time that you have to be awake, and then you count back from the hours that you need, and then your bedtime. And having that consistency allows your brain to utilize that time efficiently. because the brain knows how much deep sleep and how much REM sleep it needs. So if you give them the right opportunity, enough hours for it to do it, and it's constantly the same, your brain will utilize that time as efficient as it can. So having that, because what we have nowadays is people constantly on social jet lag, which every day of the week, sometimes like Monday to Friday, they sleep on time, but then in the weekends they will sleep in or they go to bed really late. And then lots of people have the Sunday insomnia, which they wake up on Sunday so late, then when it's time to go to bed, so they can wake up in the morning on Monday, they're not tired because they slept so much. And then you always kind of the cycle starts and you're always sort of sleep deprived. So I think it's very important to have a consistency. I think is the main thing. Is just be constant. I would say, for example, even on the weekend, like for example, you want to sleep more, I would say wake up at the same time that you wake up normally, and then later in the day have a nap. Then you can catch up a little bit. Even like say, like you know when you're on holiday, then you wake up early and then you have breakfast and then you have a nap. That's not bad. That's okay. Because then you're catching up. Then, but you can't catch up hours and hours of sleep from the whole week. So it's important to keep the timing and then have a nap. Naps also, it's all about the timing and the length of your nap. So ideally before 3 o'clock, between 10 a.m., 3 o'clock is the best time to nap. And it should be 20 to 30 minutes long. Otherwise you get lethargic and it just kind of goes the other way.
You won't be able to sleep later on
at night. Another thing is to pay attention with napping. You have to see if it affects your sleep at night. If it doesn't, perfect. Have as many naps as you want. It's not a problem. It's important. It's good. It boosts your energy levels, your cognitive function, everything. However, if it's interfere with the night, then don't. Because that's not you want your main sleep in the night. So you have to pay attention to that more. Does that make sense?
There's a lot of 100%. And it sounds like there's a lot of trial and error here that people have to figure out themselves, because everyone's body is different and everyone functions differently. Right.
And also you have to, that's the only way. The only way to finding out what works for you is by testing on yourself. And is it try and error? And it's not one size fits all. We're all different, like I said. We have to test and try. And that's the biohacking part that I use. It's just learning how your own body works.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's been such a fascinating discussion and I learned so much from this. Now we're moving on to the open mic section, and this is your chance to talk about anything that you're passionate about, and it doesn't have to be related to the topic at all. So the floor is entirely yours. Carolina, please take it away.
Sure. I want to talk about thermotherapy and contrast therapy, which is something that I've been fascinated with and I've been addicted to it. And it's just amazing. So basically, it's just you going to the sauna, whatever you pronounce it, and then having a cold shower or a cold bath after. This improves your immune system, your mood. Having a cold shower or a nice bath or anything like that instantly changes your mood. Instantly. It's mental how quickly it changes. So like say on a day you're feeling super depressed and like you don't feel like, like dismotivated and you don't feel like doing much. You have a cold shower, instantly changes your mood. Like you're up for the day. But then when you combine the sauna with the hot, the hot and the cold, and you keep like switching between each other, you have no idea. It's an amazing feeling. Like I can't even describe. You have to experience it. I don't know. Do you enjoy going to the sauna?
I wouldn't say the sauna, but I do love a jacuzzi and I do love the hot spring. Yeah, because the sauna just makes me feel like I'm sweating, and I grew up in a tropical climate and I am just done with sweating at this point. So I do prefer sticking to hot springs and jacuzzis. Do those do the same as saunas?
Yeah, I think they are pretty good as well. I think sauna is better exactly because you sweat, and the sweating part is what you need. because not just you're detoxing your body when you sweat, it's also a form of it raises your heart rate. So it's like you're exercising without exercising. So basically, it's the same function that happens, like increases your heart rate and your sweat. So it's as if you're exercising, but you're not. You're just sitting there. So it's like
that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, like for people who doesn't like exercising so much, sauna is perfect because you get more or less the same thing. Well, it depends how vigorous you're working out, of course. It increases your heart rate, and it's just amazing for your immune system. Like amazing, sauna and the cold. So you keep switching between each. I do like few sessions, like maybe 3 or 4 sessions of each. So first time I'll stay 5 minutes in the sauna, then I stay 1 minute in the cold water, and then the next time I go back to the sauna, I can stay for longer, for 10 minutes, and then I stay for 2 minutes in the cold, and then you sort of keep switching. And I do lots of like skincare stuff inside the sauna. I do face yoga. I use essential oils, which is like aromatherapy is just amazing. Even for sleep, like if you want to spread like a little lavender or something like that in your room, makes such a difference. And this also really helps with sleep, all of that. And it's just really good. And one more thing that I want to say, last thing, is grounding.
Oh.
Now, grounding is amazing. It's just basically grounding. All it means is putting your feet in the ground, barefoot, either sand, grass, earth, whatever. And grounding has an instant effect on your nervous system as well. So if you're super stressed, studies suggest that within 5 seconds of putting your feet on the ground, switches your nervous system from the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight, where you're stressed, to the parasympathetic, rest and digest. So you calm down your system instantly in 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really helpful for sleep, for stress-related lifestyles and everything. So just get your feet out, stay outside, step on the ground.
That's really interesting.
And it's all facilitating free.
Yeah, yeah. I guess It like do you think it's something to do with how that's how humans functioned initially?
100%, because the Earth's electromagnetic fields connects with your magnetic field. And remember, like we have evolved, and our ancestors used to live outside, and all they didn't have shoes, was all barefooted everywhere. And and I've met a lady from Perth, and she was saying that in Perth, nobody wears shoes. Like everybody's always like barefooted everywhere, going to university, everywhere. And I love that. It's like, oh, that's fascinating. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I don't think I see that much where we are located in Melbourne, but I reckon somewhere further out from the city, there will be groups of people doing that as well. It is a lot easier if you're away from the city to do that, because
100%.
Otherwise there's a lot more concrete and you'd have to walk quite a bit to get to a park somewhere where you can actually do that. But that's really interesting to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Carolina. Now, if our listeners want to find out more about you and what you do, where can they go?
I'm mainly on LinkedIn. So it's the main platform that I use. I do have an Instagram, but I'd never go there. But yeah, LinkedIn, I think, is the best. There's also my website. I think you have the link for it. Yeah, so it's just, LinkedIn and website, I think, is the best ones.
All right, amazing. We'll link those in the show notes, and we'll also put the link to the chronotype quiz. Chronotype. Oh, I need to remember that. Chronotype. The chronotype quiz. We'll put the link to that as well in the show notes. Thank you once again, Carolina, for joining us today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope that you learned a bit more about sleep today, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to the Self-Improvement Atlas, the Personal Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. For more episodes like this from 10 different life management perspectives, search LMSL on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you can get updated on everything we have to offer. We have a wide range of topics readily available for you to check out. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps us grow and bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at pe.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Marie Stella. Thanks for tuning in.